For those of you guys that don't know, I am a relationship therapist. I specialize in addiction and trauma and codependency, and I'm really here to answer any and all of your questions on those topics. We have a couple emails that came through for us that we can answer too about relationship related concerns that I think could help you guys. So if along the way you guys have any questions for me, just shoot them in there and I'll do my best to answer them.
Yeah, this is a great way to kind of get your guys' input on, what you're struggling with, the challenges you might be facing. And it's awesome that Jessica's here to provide her time for free, which is great. So start taking some notes, and we look forward to seeing some questions. But first, we can get started. We had a question come in from Sarah over the weekend. So let's see what Sarah has to say. She says, "My boyfriend and I have had a great relationship and we feel really connected. We've been dating for a year, but lately I've noticed he's been pulling away, which is really making me anxious. I get upset and I asked him why, and he seems to look stuck and he feels like he needs more space. He actually says, I feel like I'm losing myself."
Okay, well, I believe this lady's name is Sarah. Sarah, I want to let you know that this is completely normal. In a lot of relationships, we have like a relational dance that we do. And often one partner can pull away, we call it distancing, and the other person can be a little bit more anxious and kind of move towards the distancer. And it sounds like your partner is, he's pulling away a little bit, which, could be that he's feeling a little suffocated, could be that he has some wounds there. Not your job to fix, just your job to really understand that, one, it's normal, and two, it might not even be about you. It says in there, in the question, that you guys have been dating a year, so you are approaching some more intimacy related issues, commitment issues, so there could be a lot of things going on, and you guys could be moving out of what we call the dopamine phase, or like the more romantic phase of the relationship. So all these factors, and of course I don't know a ton of details, there could be a lot of factors weighing into why he's distancing. I think it's just really important for you to know that it's really normal. And what you can do is work on yourself, because that's what we have control on, ourselves, and work at calming your anxiety. You wrote in there that you were feeling really anxious. Work on ways to calm your anxiety that aren't contingent on him. Whether it's getting back into your spirituality, your faith, or it's connecting to your girlfriends, or it's doing some hobbies. Try to disconnect and give him some space energetically, and fill yourself up with things that like really bring you joy, and see where he comes. If he comes around, like if he's over here and you're over here and he wants to pull away, you might want to. But I'm asking you to pull back into yourself, really work on yourself, and let him move back over towards you. That's really, without knowing too much more, that's really the best advice I could give to you, is just to kind of work on yourself a little bit more. I'm trying to think if there's anything else around this. Where does it come from? There's a lot of theory on that. Early developmental years. Sometimes when we're babies, our parents can either smother us or completely abandon us. And they say that our personality structures and our attachment styles get developed in early years. I just want to let you know that distancing is completely normal. The best thing for you to do is work on your anxiety while he's distancing, and learn to self-soothe and hopefully have some transparent conversations around what might be going on underneath for him.
Very cool.
Does that answer the question, Sarah? I hope it does.
Yeah. I think that was great. And you recently wrote a blog post about this, didn't you?
I did, on my website. It's not a ton of information, but there's a little bit of information around a fear of engulfment. We spend so much time talking about the fear of abandonment. I feel like everybody knows, okay, it's a fear of abandonment, and that's like the go-to thing. But fear of engulfment is like the exact opposite core wound, dealing with it in the other way. So you want to think of that as someone who doesn't feel like they're going to be abandoned. In fact, they feel like they're going to be consumed. They feel like they're going to lose their identity. They went into the relational energy, and they feel scared because they've lost themselves. that person needs more space and needs to communicate a little bit better, and you kind of have to let them have a little bit more autonomy, and you can't cling harder. That makes sense.
So do we have anybody out there that has any questions so far about either the fear of engulfment or any kind of issues like around this topic currently? Let's see. I've got a little bit of a delay, so I'm just seeing how we're doing.
Maybe I should explain a little bit about the stages of relationships.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So when you do first meet someone, and I think the second question that came in is going to be a little bit around this. Like I said before, there's like a dopamine period, and that can be anywhere from 2 days to 2 years. That is a high. That is every text message you're getting. You're feeling really good about it. Everything is really exciting, and we love that stage. At some point, we fall out of bliss. One partner does, sometimes before the other. And I think what I tell my clients the most is like, this is so normal. Like, it doesn't stay in a blissful state. In fact, conflict is good, and we enter something called the power struggle stage, and that's when we're kind of like fighting a little bit for each other's needs. Hopefully, we're learning on a deeper level what conflicts are coming up, how to work through them, and we get through the other side of the power struggles phase, which is a deeper level of commitment. But often what I see happening is people get through the dopamine phase and they are like, check, next person, there's something wrong with this person, when there's really not. They just haven't worked through deeper stages of their relationship. The real joy comes with a little bit of work.
It's true. It's true. Everyone faces these problems in our relationship. So the next question we have is from Tom, and he says, I've been online dating for a while and I haven't found anyone. I get excited at first and then might have some good dates, but then I lose interest and then I go back to being online looking for someone else.
Oh, yes, online dating. What a wonderful thing. I mean, it's opened up so much popularity. I read somewhere that in 2040, 70% of marriages will have be made by people who've met online, which is wonderful. We have so many options. The downside of that, we have so many options. And I think that it's becoming really easy to just swipe on very superficial things, but just keeping swiping and knowing that there are so many options, we're not sometimes sticking with an option long enough to really see what's there. So what Tom, I think you're kind of going through is a little bit of the dopamine rush. It's exciting to chat on Bumble or Tinder and you know, meet the person and you have this idea of them. And maybe when they don't live up to the idea, actually it says that you go on a few good dates, maybe you start to, I call it case build, come up with a reason of like why you might not want to see this person. It's probably a defense mechanism, hate to say it, inside of you that keeps you stuck in the early stages of relationship. My suggestion to you would probably be find the next girl that you really like, go on a couple of dates and get off all the online apps and commit to 2 months of dating her. Even if you're not crazy about her, you need to work through the urge to like break up and move to the next. If all we do is break up and move to the next, we're not really giving people a fair chance and we're not seeing full picture. When we first meet someone, we come up with an idea of how amazing they are. We have this picture in our head. It's kind of all black or white. And then when you fall in love and you work through later stages, we fall in love with the gray. But I think what's happening with you, Tom, is you're getting excited about the idea of these women, but then when you get to really closer stages of intimacy, you're finding ways to back out and get back online to date more women. And ultimately, you're hurting yourself because it does sound like from your question that you're really looking for true love or a sustainable love with someone, so you keep blocking yourself. So there might be some more fear around intimacy for you in this type of behavior. I would say limit the online dating. Maybe date one one every couple months or just really peel it back. I also want people to be careful with those apps. They can be a distraction from life.
And they might not even be real people, too. It's like...
Really?
I mean, some people... Well, not like... Like, I'm saying there's a lot of people on online dating that could be pretending that they're someone that they're not.
Oh, for sure.
So, you know, you might think that this person online, you know, could be this, like, perfect person when the reality is they might just be telling you things because they just want to tell you them, and you just don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of literature out there. I'll disclose that I've online dated before. I'm currently in a very long relationship and I'm happy, but I do know what it's like to online date. And I think you have to be careful with people who just want that texting relationship. They're not even actually interested in a relationship. They just like the dopamine and the release from the texting relationship. So I always give the advice, like, text for a little bit, but then meet the person, because it becomes this fantasy land and there's really no reality. Of course, meet them in a public place, be as safe as you can about it, but watch like the fantasy being built up, because you're gonna get squashed if you live in that world. You never really meet the reality. Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, exactly. So I think we had somebody looking to join the call.
I would love for someone to join.
It looked like we had somebody. Hang on a second.
That's right. If anyone wants to join and ask me a question in real time, we're kind of new. Well, she's not new. I'm new at this platform.
We're just gonna wave at a bunch of these folks here.
We're waving at all of you. Thank you for coming.
Join.
I know him.
Nice.
I actually met him on an online date many, many years ago.
That's awesome.
And that's
Maybe it went away. Here, let's see. Okay, here we just got someone else to join. It looked like, I think Solitary Cupcake wanted to. Is Solitary Cupcake still in the session? Because we're going to open it up to your questions. So if you'd like to join the Instagram Live, just send the request and we'll put you up on air. Everyone's being shy. It's okay.
Maybe I should talk a little bit about like relationship dynamics or narcissism. I mean, there are some hot topics that I know you guys want to hear about, that we all think about, and just shoot me a topic and I can kind of like spin off on it. Like, what is narcissism? Something maybe I can talk about is the challenge between the codependent and the narcissist. I know that people want to hear about that, or personality structures or attachment styles.
Let's see. So that's somebody. So let's talk a little bit more about, what's coming up this season. So we've got the holidays coming, and a lot of people out there, I think, are, worried about what's to come, with their relationships. And, we might have some people that are looking to either meet people to find a new relationship, either connect with their current relationship, or they might even be trying to get out of a bad relationship. What kind of tips can you provide kind of to help people through this kind of exciting and sometimes challenging holiday season?
Like for me personally, I can relate to this. I feel like the holidays, they bring a memory or like a anniversary every year, and every year we're kind of measuring ourselves up to last year. And if we're depressed or we're lonely or we're just really struggling, we can look at the holidays and start to compare, where we were last year to where we are today. And I just really want you to be careful with that. I think the holidays trigger trauma, and I'm not using trauma the way that you think, but just like overall feelings of inadequacy, a slight depression. I personally get like a mild depression around Christmas. I don't know why. It's supposed to be the happiest day ever, but you know, our stuff comes up and we're around our family, and that's wonderful. And it also can be reminded it's another year that we're not married, or maybe we're single this year, or maybe we're not exactly where we want to be. And I think we have to be really, really kind to ourselves and try to look at the holiday as something new. I think holidays put a lot of pressure on relationships. I think a lot of people get engaged around the holidays. There can be a lot of like weird pressure around it. I think it's good to kind of peel back those layers and try to treat it like you're not in the same place that you were last year. And even if you feel that way on Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever holiday you're celebrating, it's really important to notice that you're really not in that place, and stay really positive through the holidays.
So we just had a new follower join. Hi, Sunny. How are you doing? Silence.
So are you guys feeling like you can understand me and you're getting my questions and my feedback, and it's easy to follow me? Are you feeling like it's easy to connect with me? I really want to use this platform in a way to help and share and connect, and it's really important to me that I am giving you guys information and that it feels comfortable. It's very new. It's my first live, so
doing a great job. Great job. So let's see. I'm gonna see if we can send this out to more followers. I'm just gonna go here and just start sending it out to everyone that's currently following.
Are these people online right now? Or we don't know.
They're,
I know nothing about social media. That's why she's here. She's my social media guru.
So cute. So yeah, this just goes out to anybody who is following. So we'll be able
following me?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
So we just sent out a few more.
Somebody. Any questions that you guys have?
We don't have.
What's that?
This is how many viewers are on right now. So let's see. Oops, it just went off.
Maybe I can explain
I'm gonna
codependency.
yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Maybe I should explain one of the topics I'm very passionate about, which is codependency. Does anybody know what it means to be codependent? Or, you know, that term is like, first of all, it's a very old term. I think it started in AA, if anyone's familiar with that, with the addict and the good old codependent who enables the addict all day long. But a codependent is really someone who just gets a need met externally and get most of their needs met externally. Usually has a childhood unmet need that they're getting met repeatedly in an external way. Hi, you guys. I see more people are joining now. I'm waving at all of you the best I can. So yeah, we become codependent when we become too dependent on another person to meet our needs. Sometimes codependents can be described as people pleasers. I know a lot of you might think that's a good thing, but it's really not. Like knowing yourself, setting boundaries, not always making people happy, speaking your mind is much better than being a people pleaser. Because what I find with people who are people pleasers is they build resentment. Because they're not really listening to themselves. They're just trying to make everyone happy. And if I make everyone happy, therefore they'll have to make me happy in return. So, you know, codependency is a lot of what I treat. And it really stems from like early childhood development. I can kind of go into that a little bit more if you want me to. We call it trauma, but like not trauma the way you would think about it, just patterns of behaviors or beliefs that we start to believe when we're younger that kind of get embedded with us, and then we carry them into our relationships later in life and we don't even realize that we're doing this. So, you know, creating insight around what beliefs that you're carrying around that were developed earlier that then get transferred to your loved one is a way to like shift your relationship and create less problems.
So how do you start to like recognize some of these maybe childhood issues that come up? Like if I'm a person who might have something in my childhood, like how would I understand that this is coming from my childhood?
So anytime you have a belief or a feeling that feels little, I'm scared of being alone. I feel unworthy. Something that, is an emotional thing that a little kid might struggle with. Like, if you're afraid of being alone, that's not really something an adult necessarily struggles with. That's the little kid part of you. So somewhere in there you were left alone, and that part of you needs to be reconnected with self. Fear of abandonment is probably the one I think of the most. But I'm not enough. Men get that a lot. Like, their childhood wound sometimes is around like not feeling like they're enough. So they'll repeat that pattern in their relationships. They'll look for ways to actually subconsciously prove that they're not enough. So going back and looking at when did they start to internalize these conditional messages, because we really need unconditional love and support. And at some point when we're kids, our parents don't do it intentionally. No parent is perfect, but we start to make up these stories about ourselves, and we need to fix them.
That's great.
Hi, Lauren.
Lauren, hey, what are you up to?
Friend from New York.
Let's see, where is everyone from? That would be fun to see. We've got like 89 degrees here in Florida right now. It's a warm day.
I know.
It's so nice.
It's so nice if you like that kind of weather. My last client who was in here said she hates the weather down here. She's going through menopause, so she was not appreciative of it.
Okay, so we've got something coming in from Rich. So I feel like I've held on to my weight because of a lack of enough.
I've held on to my physical weight. Actually, I think weight is a spiritual thing, believe it or not. And I think if we are fearful, actually, this probably doesn't relate to you, but even sexual trauma, there are lots of reasons why we eat and hold on to weight energetically. And if we don't feel good about ourselves, we could be stuck in self-sabotage kind of mode, and we don't even realize that we are. So our inner child might be hungry. Maybe we're hungry for love. Maybe we're hungry for connection, but we use food as a way to like medicate those feelings, and it's sometimes really hard to know. And I'm trying to see, because of lack of not being, you might be self-sabotaging yourself a little bit, Rich, because internally you don't feel like you are enough, so you're externally kind of setting yourself up for disappointment. I see you're in South Carolina. Clemson.
Clemson.
Is that your hometown? Like,
no, so I actually spent some time in Charleston, but Clemson had a great game this weekend. Congrats.
Hey, Lauren, you have any questions for me? I love her.
Aw.
Yeah, I mean, did that answer that, Rich? Or do you want to kind of give me another spin-off question around that? But for sure, your weight you could be holding on to that because of a core belief of not feeling like you are enough and being your own worst critic. How many of us are our own worst critics? We beat ourselves up and then we end up, I also feel like I need to buy food often. Even if I don't need it, it's like we're going to be broke again. And I've seen this before. This is common. So what Rick is saying is that he's living in survival mode because somewhere in your history you were deprived or you lived in fear that you wouldn't have enough. So that's an inner child, or let's just say an old wound that you're carrying to the present. And so you're overcompensating so that you don't live in fear by continuously buying food. So it would be good to go back and kind of revisit that, maybe with a therapist, and keep reminding yourself that you have more than enough and that you will have more than enough, and kind of rebuild faith in having exactly what you need at the exact time that you need it in the exact moment. That's a little bit of a spiritual process, I would say, Rich, that you might want to start to explore.
I never feel like I've measured up to expectations that I've had on my shoulders since I was young.
Aww.
Oh, well, that's very common in a lot of people, I think.
So common, and I think you need to start making your own expectations that are just for you. And if we're living in what our parents want for us or what society wants for us, I'd be like out there running like 15 miles trying to be a size 0. Like, It's not happening, you know? Like, you have to almost come to terms with yourself, self-acceptance, being okay with who you are, and not being driven so much. Can you change attachment styles later in life if you started insecure? Okay, so Lauren's asking, can you change your attachment style? The short answer of this is no. Hate to say that. I'm an anxious attachment style myself, and I was like devastated when I found out. But you can improve your attachment style so much, and you can become more secure with the right partner and the right internal skills. But attachment styles are really developed at an early age. You can also date different people that are healthier for your attachment style. For example, someone with an anxious attachment style and someone with an avoidant attachment style are a very tumultuous combination together. They're constantly triggering each other. So someone with an anxious attachment style needs to work on containing and self-soothing, and they do great with other people who are secure. I happen to know your husband, Lauren. He's a pretty secure guy. So practicing with people who are safe enough, and even when they distance, learning how to work with your own anxiety. Now that I'm a mom, I'm developing a secure attachment style with my daughter, which is life-changing. Oh, that's beautiful.
Aww.
And that is so awesome. I've known Lauren probably my whole life. So, I mean, that's really, really beautiful. And that's a way for us to heal. And I'm really glad that you brought that up. I'm not a mom, but people do a lot of healing, not just in the romantic relationships, but we relearn how to heal from our children so we can rebuild healthy attachment around us by our offspring. So that's amazing. I'm so happy to hear that for you. And thank you for asking these very deep and personal questions.
So we're getting a lot of new
I know,
followers
Mike.
that are joining. So hey everyone, I saw Viva Couture come through. She is located in Palm Beach. So let's give a wave to that group. And we also heard some things from Rich about
I don't understand attachment style.
Mm-hmm.
I think that attachment style is a pretty complicated topic, but I think I could prepare something to go over. But there's really 4 main attachment styles, and it's the bonding we've done at early developmental years programs how we interact in our interpersonal relationships. Meaning, if you have a mom who neglected you, or you didn't have a lot of consistent care, you could have what we call anxious attachment style. You don't always feel safe in relationship. Or if you had a mom or whoever your caretaker who smothered you, who was like in your space a lot as a baby, and sometimes it's impossible to know, you could be more prone to a avoidant attachment style. So someone who avoids closeness because that doesn't feel safe. So early developmental years kind of program our attachment styles, but like Lauren said, like they are attachment styles, but they're all workable, especially the anxious. Anxious love to work on themselves. We're constantly learning and self-soothing. Avoidance, well, they avoid work most of the time until it gets like there's a lot of pain. There's like enough pain for them to say, hey, I don't want to be as avoidant anymore. I want to start working on these things, or this relationship is really worth it, and I want to stop to avoid pain. I mean, most of us spend most of our life avoiding pain.
Yeah.
Bye, Lauren.
Good to see you, Lauren. Thanks again.
Hey, Jen. Jen's also another really good friend of mine.
Perfect. I think I also saw my neighbor join. Is Amy Twigger still here?
Thanks, girls. Have a great day.
Aw,
Thank
great
you.
to see you.
As the oldest, I think I got plenty of attention, but I like my convention with my father. Okay, yeah, and I think, Rich, what's going on for you is like some dad issues for sure, and not feeling good enough. And I think you need to work on restructuring that and really kind of working on some self-esteem in terms of rebuilding how enough you are, and giving yourself the messages that maybe your dad didn't give you. Not that he didn't even mean to give you, but that got programmed. So maybe be that voice that you needed to hear when you were a little kid. And if you don't believe it right now, keep saying some of those messages, like you are enough, you're perfect just the way you are, enough times until it starts to resonate on a deeper level with you.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I mean, I think this went well. We're going to try and do a live segment every week. I would encourage all of you guys just to email me questions. There's a link in my bio to my blog, which has my email, and it's info@relationships, plural, pb, like palmbeach.com. Email me questions through the week. I will try to answer as much as I can for you guys and continue this process and hopefully connect more and more to you guys.
Sounds great. Thanks for joining, everyone, and have a great rest of your Monday.
Bye.